Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We're going to pick up from the last time we got together with her in talking about something that is relatable to all of us, and that is walking on eggshells in situations around other people. And call it part 2 of that, but
yes,
specifically today focusing on when you say something to somebody and you're worried about how they're going to deal with it. Why do we worry about that? That's where we're starting today. She's an amazing psychotherapist. I love her insight, especially that it's relatable. The things that she brings to the table here, the thoughts and everything, we got it. It's almost as like she's reading our mind. And that's, I believe, her superpower. She's plugged into to the people she works with and these thoughts. Susie Engel back on the program. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm great, Steve. How are you?
Loving that we're going to pick up on this walking on eggshells concept because we all do it. We all relate to it. But why do we worry? Why don't we pick a scenario, a situation? Let's go hypothetical and what we're thinking and what we should be thinking. Let's say it's somebody you said something to, and now they're went off the deep end. It affected them. Now you're worried that you set them off or you made them unhappy or whatever it might be. But it was the truth, and it needed to be said, and that's the way it is.
Like that. Yes.
Why are we worrying about it? Why are we worrying about it? I know you have to have empathy and care about others' feelings.
That's not the issue. It's not the issue about having empathy.
All right, thank you. That was my release. Thank you for saying that.
The issue is, and this is going to be probably the bulk of our conversation, whatever directions we go, is you're asking, why am I so concerned with the other person's response or reaction to what I've just expressed? Because you also said, I also am expressing something that reflects my authenticity or my honesty, and I had to say what I had to say. But this person outside of me, this person who I just delivered this information to, is displeased or uncomfortable or angry or whatever that person is going through. And the broadest issue is, how could I possibly be responsible? This is the question today. How could I be responsible for this person's ability or lack of ability or individual style of coping?
Why do we care? Like, why? Okay, let's have a
jumping to the end of our discussion.
Because I got to get there. Disclaimer, and I want to go back on the disclaimer. What you said to that person was something, it went through my 3 filter. It was kind, it was true, it was necessary. So it wasn't that you just said something to them and you set them off and it was mean-spirited and you're just nasty. No, it all needed to be said, and it is factual. And that's the way it is. But we worry about how they're going to feel or are feeling. What do you think's going on there?
Well, and also, even if it's not factual, even if I'm expressing that something even if I am expressing something that's emotional for me or subjective to me, but the point is, it doesn't have to be factual. What it needs to be is, I'm coming from an honest posture, and I'm also, you may use the word vulnerable, but I don't really care to use those words, but I'm coming from my authenticity to express something, and this other person outside of me is displeased. And why would I be concerned? First of all, it's impossible for me to be responsible for this person outside of me to be responsible for how this person copes with whatever their lens is, whatever their perspectives are, whatever their history is, whatever their adaptations are. That's an impossibility. And I think that that's a valuable part of our conversation today. If the audience can walk away with, oh, how could it be my responsibility to help this person cope with something that's being said?
Does it go back to the classic, you can't control what you can't control? So because you can't control how they're going to react, their feelings and all of that?
Yes, which is liberating. You can't control what what you can't control. I like that. I don't really use that saying, but I like it. That's liberating. You can't control what you can't control, but what I can control is I am worthy. I can express what needs to be expressed without the shackles of, oh, this might be a confrontation. Ooh, what if this person responds this way?
Right.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, we could go on forever and ever devising creative ways that other people might receive something. And so it's really interesting.
I want to go back to what I said before, my 3 filter, and use it for what you just said. So I said, yes, if you're going to, if you genuinely did the right thing in your mind, and let's say you needed to tell somebody the way you feel, maybe something they do, and it doesn't align with you.
Yes.
Now, just a moment. I want to look at this a little deeper. You did it. I said, you have to make sure, is it kind? So you delivered it in a kind way. You weren't nasty. You just said, listen, I want you to know how I'm feeling about what's going on here or what you're doing. So you delivered it in a kind way. It was necessary because you needed to let it off your chest. You needed to let them know. And you said, doesn't have to be true. I'm going to abridge that for just a moment.
No, I said factual.
Factual, okay.
It doesn't have to be factual because that's subjective.
Well, okay, yeah. and I call it true. Is what you're saying true?
Okay,
or
but true, I agree with.
But yes,
factual, I do not. Yeah, because
okay.
We can't put a fact on. This is what I have to express.
We're on the same page because it is true. Because that's the way you feel. So I thought
it's honest.
It's honest.
Yes.
Yeah. It's honest, the truth. This is how I feel. And you're right. You can't introduce facts. Well, because on the morning of the 4th, you blah, blah, blah. No, you don't need to do that. It's irrelevant. I mean, maybe there's a place there depending on the situation. But what we're talking about here is letting somebody know how you feel based on whatever the situation is. Maybe they said something, whatever.
And also, Steve, let's graduate and say, we don't even have to use the word kind, which I do believe is overused these days. It's kind of ingrained in little kids. And, I'm kind.
Well,
But we could use the word diplomatic. We can express anything that needs to be expressed and do it in a diplomatic way.
That's what I'm saying. It's the difference between, listen, I want to let you know, and you're being very genuine, as opposed to, all right, you blah, 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 blah. You.
And it's you.
Right. Yeah. And that's not kind. All right. I'm going to press the pause on this because I have a question for you based on the word kind.
Yeah.
The difference between nice and kind. I've heard it said before, and just a hypothetical random example. Somebody would say, well, women don't want men who are nice. They want men who are kind. How do you process those 2 words?
I don't know. That's going to be a whole nother podcast. I mean, first of all, women want a man who is already gets me going. Like this is a whole podcast. And it's off track. So I'm not going to be able to. And also maybe I'm not I don't know. I need a man who is genuine. I need a man who is also honest and authentic.
Well, the difference between nice and kind. Now that I look deeper into it, nice almost seems like, oh, they're being nice. And I almost think that as an overly nice, where you're not really being you.
Authentic. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind is more genuine. I'm treating this in a kind way.
I'm just a kind, giving person. This
Yeah.
is selfless.
They're similar,
this
but they're
is
not.
just coming from my heart. I'm not manipulating in any way.
Yeah.
I'm not being nice. I guess that would be a distinction, but really seriously, like this is a whole nother podcast, because being nice is also being accommodating to the other person. Like I want to be nice. Well, maybe it has to do with this one too.
Well, you know what? I'm thinking it is in a way.
It does. Yeah, that's why it came up. Everything's interrelated.
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason why we are not always linear in our discussions, and I like that because everything is interrelated, and we do end up circling back. And being nice is not always being authentic, as you were just saying.
That's kind of where I'm going.
Being nice is also being overly accommodating about how this person might or might not handle what I have to say. Now, we can really see that clearly with parents and their little children. And if they're overly compensating, then the child kind of develops an inability to cope with stress and to cope with if parents are like intimidated to just say no, or to let their kids be uncomfortable, or let their children be disappointed, So it's easier to see in that fashion, right?
Yeah. But like you're going overboard to make sure that they're okay,
Yes.
because you're being nice.
Oh, yeah.
But
and how could it be our job to make sure somebody else is okay?
But if you're being kind, you're delivering what you needed to, let's say, to your child. So if it's nice, well, I don't want them to be disappointed, so I'm going to let them stay up late. I know it's not right for them, but I'm going to be nice and let them. Well, that's not the right thing you should be doing. Right. If you're going to be kind, say, you know what? You can't stay up late. I'll give you another 5 minutes, but you need to go to bed now. That's the best thing for you.
It's a great idea, and it's not gonna. I'll give you 5 more minutes, but then
you're being kind the way you're doing it, as opposed to get your butt in the bed now. No, that's not being kind. Right, but on the flip side of that, being nice, or I guess maybe to better understand where we're going with that, too nice. Nice or too nice, kind of the same thing, but you're overdoing it because you're walking on eggshells because you don't, right?
You're worried about how the other person, whether it's a child or an adult, is going to handle it. And that cannot be our concern. No. I mean, that just misguides our human relationship with ourselves and our instinct and our direction and our self-direction and our sense of agency. It's just impossible to live like that. And it takes a toll. So if we are living that way and we are not feeling well about ourselves or confident about ourselves or have healthy self-worth, this is a great thing to reflect on. Am I overtly concerned about how other people are going to cope? And does that impede me from my own authenticity, or does it cause me to walk on eggshells? It's really, really important. It's a great thing for us to look at if we are not feeling well about ourselves.
You said something that I didn't really even process it until just a moment ago. But if you're worried about how others are going to take some information, all of that, everything we're talking about, the eggshells, it takes its toll on you.
Yes.
Yeah. That's big. I don't think we realize it, and we get caught up in it, in the, that's the way I operate. That's the way I operate. I care. And meanwhile, you're taking away from yourself.
Yes. Doing that. Yes. Yeah. And I like, because you also started this conversation with something in that vein, something in that fashion about pleasing other people and the impossibility. It's just like chasing something that's impossible. And if we're people pleasing, that's going to be the carrot for us. But we're never going to achieve our our own security or our own knowledge about ourselves, because we're everything is according to everybody else.
The people pleasing thing, I never equated it to what we're talking about here, but that's what it is. Essentially, I think of the people pleasing. You do things, you get that phone call on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Hey, I need your help. I need you to help me move. And you have plans already, but then you're like, well, I'll be there. I'll be there. You don't want to do it, but you're doing it because you're a people pleaser, on and on and on.
Yes. And I just wrote down the word. I wrote down the word neglect. There's something about this conversation that's illuminating. If we are neglecting ourselves and not taking good care of ourselves, that means not being attuned to ourselves. Maybe we grew up without parents who were attuned to us. If we are developing this defense within us to be people pleasing, to walk on eggshells, to somehow devise in our mind that we are responsible for other people's reactions or inability to cope or ability to cope. If we are carrying that weight, we are neglecting ourselves. And that is just not sustainable.
Okay, so two things here. People pleasing or walking on eggshells. Why do we do it? And how can we no longer do it?
So why do we do it I'm going to come back to fear. And you mentioned last podcast, the concern of confrontation. Well, why is having a simple conversation or my needing to express something a confrontation? I mean, that's just a loaded word. Why can't I just say and settle myself, which I do, which I hope the audience gets to, and I know you have gotten to because you work on yourself. Why can't we just say, oh, this needs to be expressed. I need to express this. I am worthy enough to express this. And who knows how the other person's, this is just not my energy level to have to expend any energy wondering how is this person going to accept this, because I'm accepting myself and need to express it. It's a confidence thing. It's a security thing. It's a sense of agency. And all this extraneous stuff doesn't need to be on our radar. It doesn't expend our energy.
All right, now hold on, because I'm going to jump down that rabbit hole just a little bit, like one or two layers down. How can you, I want to verbalize this right. How can you use some empathy when you talk with somebody and you want to care about their feelings? And let's say you're at the point where you're not consumed with walking on eggshells and all of that. Okay? Let's move past that. Like, I'm not doing that. I figured it out. I'm not people pleasing. This is the way it is. But you want to do it in a way that you're caring about how they feel, to a point. Empathetic. Yeah. But not going over the top. Well, I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to leave that part out of my feelings and all of that. But delivering it with love, I guess. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I think we touched upon this last time too. But what's coming to me is I know how to phrase things. If I need to say, this might be a difficult conversation, and at the same time, I need to be honest. And I'm sure you'll understand. And then I say what I need to say. It's not about being kind. It's not about being nice. It's not necessarily about being empathetic. It is about being true to myself and to be, I used the word earlier, I think diplomatic. There are thousands of ways to express what I need to say from myself without being accusatory toward somebody, without needing to be blaming toward anybody, without assigning fault to anybody, but just saying, as difficult, this might be difficult, and at the same time, not a but, and I need to be honest, and I'm sure you'll understand. The I'm sure you understand, I usually bring in at the very end, because when I say I'm sure you understand, people consent.
Oh, I love that.
People,
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that all day today and tomorrow and on. That's a good one. That's a good one.
And it's just the truth. I mean, that comes very naturally. Here's one of those little planet gnats, sorry, coming to the party. It just flew by the camera, I'm pretty sure.
I didn't see it.
Oh, that's good. But I mean, this is the thing. I really don't think we have to be on a bandwagon about being nice or being kind or being. I love empathy. I think empathy is just within us, unless we're really, really mentally ill. And so to say this might be a difficult discussion, but I need to be honest, say what I need to say, and I'm sure you understand.
Love that.
It's beautiful.
And I got a different view of this, short of that phrase. When you're at that point where I'm not going to worry about what they think or anything, but I want to do it in a nice way, I'm getting carefully select your words, as opposed to just picking up the phone and calling them and just, hey, I just want to let you know. No. Plan it out to a point, not over plan it, but just how am I going to say it? What's the best way? Let me take a moment. Let me think about that. Maybe it's a half hour. Maybe type it. If it's a text, leave it, come back to it, maybe adjust it a little bit and put some intent into it as opposed to just spitting it out.
Well, then this is interesting because I can't remember if it happened before we started recording or during this conversation, but it's being intentional and it's being, what was the word I was going to use? It's kind of flying out of my mind right now, but there are thousands of words that are effective that just don't say, be nice, you're wrong, you're to blame, you're at fault. There are thousands of ways that we can express ourselves that are thoughtful and purposeful.
And maybe kind.
And effective.
And kind and effective. Kind and effective. We're out of time. I'm sure you'll understand.
Great application.
I got a situation where I need to send a text. Personal thing going on here, nothing major, but things that need to get taken care of, and that so fits perfectly with what I'm going to deliver in this text, and it's also the way I feel, and I'm not compromising myself. And I'm going to end it with, I'm sure you'll understand, and it perfect encapsulates perfect. Best way to find you is susanengel-lcsw.com?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
And you can work with anybody virtually anywhere. Love this conversation. And again, I say this all the time. I didn't think we could do, a part 2 on walking on eggshells. Oh my gosh, we could keep going. Even going down the road of nice and kind. Yeah. Thank you for this and everything you do. I love talking with you. It's fantastic.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. We'll talk soon. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.